I'm one of the two college advisors. I identify as a transgender woman, and I use she, her, hers. Because I'm older, the word, like the term transgender wasn't, I don't think even a word until maybe 20 years ago. So it was a little after that that I finally read a book by a transgender woman and realized that's kind of how I identified. So it's been almost 20 years. Middle school kids and everything, if you're growing up now, there's a lot more literature and the internet, and people just are in the public eye more. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as transgender, and if you were biological male and even veered somewhat towards being female, people just assumed you were gay. And I think that now people just know at different stages in life, depending on maybe their geography, their religion, cultural indications. There are just a lot of factors that influence it. None of you would even recognize me 3 or 4 years ago when I had short, kind of typical boy/man hair. Wearing polo shirts and khaki pants, and it just was a very different look for me. And so for me, the expression of it is it's a lot about clothing, and I literally probably in the last 2.5 years have worn pants about 5 times. And I've given all of my pants away at this point, so I'm like, I'm never going back. I think because of also making up for never having had long hair, which is a much more feminine trait, I'm kind of making up for lost time, and I can't really see myself ever going back to short hair. So I think for me, it's about expressing it through clothing and hair at this point. So, gender expression varies by culture, and for example, in Scotland, men wear kilts. In Southeast Asia, men wear skirts. If you think about it, in religion, Catholic priests basically are wearing dresses, and there are certain cultures where women have had short hair longer than they have in the United States. 100 years ago, women would not have been wearing pants and shorts. So that just changes by culture. How I grew up with kind of very conventional, men do this, women do this in terms of jobs, in terms of how they appear, and how they behave. And I think that really changed about 20 years ago. Things became much more blended, and the spectrum really started to evolve. So I think today students have a much greater awareness of the spectrum than we did, and I think that just helps people be themselves. Yeah, truthfully, this is kind of a hard one, because my former employer at another school, it was not a welcoming environment, which was kind of a surprise given the school's mission statement and a lot of the school assemblies and messages. I was told to get my hair cut more than once. I was told to make a plan for wearing a skirt, and that just kind of went against everything the school stood for, because women weren't told to make a plan for wearing skirts, and men weren't told to make a plan for wearing pants or shorts. But that's sometimes representative of what you find in different workplaces. There's a lot of discrimination, sexism, transphobia. People are told not to come out or make a process for it. Quite often when people come out, they're let go. Unemployment is a big problem for transgender people. Poverty is discrimination medically, like there are medical professionals who won't treat transgender people. Unfortunately, there's a 40% attempted suicide rate amongst transgender people, which increases to 50% among teens. And it's just the kind of the cumulative effects of everything that kind of the life ahead, the road ahead can be a very difficult one with housing, employment, poverty, dropping out of school, and young folks especially need to have role models out there. But when the role models aren't being promoted, employed, hired in the first place, it just makes it pretty hard. It empowers people when they can choose their pronouns, when they can choose their name. That's, for unfortunately a lot of transgender people that don't have a lot of power, that's one way that they actually can. And I've learned it's okay to stumble a little bit. Even my relatives and very close friends sometimes mess up pronouns and names, and we get that. That's totally okay. So there's always kind of room for that, and we're very understanding. But I just think it really lets transgender people overcome a lot of what they face and give them a little bit of power once in a while.